Hello again, and welcome back to Project Planetree. I'm actually working on the other end of the boat. I'm working on the rudder and the gudgeon assembly. And while some epoxy's drying, I thought I'd come up here and do some grinding with my little friend. And if there's ever anything that'll get you wondering why you're doing something, that's grinding fiberglass in 100-degree weather like it is today. I composed a list of 10 reasons why I am converting to electric, and I've also included some reasons of why you wouldn't.
If you remember, last summer I was in the middle of pulling the Perkins diesel engine, and I even had a beta diesel engine that I could have put back in, but I suddenly decided not to do it, and I decided I wanted to go electric. Well, this is my top 10 reasons of why I chose to do so. Number 10, I can't make diesel. And there's some places that I want to go that diesel just isn't available, and I don't care to carry it down to the pier with jerry cans. And that kind of leads me into number 9, which is freedom. Regardless of what fuel prices get or geopolitical situation that we're in, I still have the freedom of having access to my boat. I remember when fuel got to well over $6 a gallon at the marine piers, and people just left their boats tied up. Number 8. Eliminating fuel dock hassles. I don't want to have to search for a fuel dock. I don't want, to have to wait in line, or even worse, have somebody in a hurry who's behind me, or God forbid, have a spill. I mean, those kind of things happen. I just want to eliminate that whole thing out of the equation. Number 7, less moving parts. On a common diesel reduction gear setup, you can have up to 2,000 moving parts. On electric, you have less than 10. And with less moving parts, there's less chance something could go wrong. Now granted, there are some more electrical components that have to be put into the equation. But that kind of brings me to number 6. That's what I do. I am an electrical engineer, and this is my top 10 reasons. It may be different for others. Number 5, no cleaning up oil and diesel out of the engine compartment. Now, when you go into a boat and you got that famous boat smell that everybody seems to have, that's usually a mixture of 3 components: the smell of the diesel and oil off the engine, added with exhaust fumes, added with mold. Well, mold is not part of this conversation, and if you have an electric motor, there's not going to be any oil or diesel, and it doesn't matter what brand of diesel engine you have, sooner or later it's going to start leaking. And that leads us to number 4, no exhaust fumes. Not just what's outside, but what gets inside. The best you can ever hope for is to get nose blind to it. Number 3, better control. You can have more control stations, and that's good with electric, but even better, you got better physical control at low RPM. If you've ever had to go slow into a marine and have to bump in and out of gear to maintain speed, you know what I'm talking about. That doesn't exist with electric, and for me, that's important. Number 2, it's quieter. I mean, it's much quieter. In some cases, it can even be quieter than sails. And finally, our number 1 reason is it's just simply time. I mean, with energy densities like they are and availability of good quality electrical parts, it's time to put one together that actually works. So here are the 5 reasons to not go electric. Number 5, boat size. My boat displaces about 18,000 pounds. Now, you can certainly go a lot larger than that, but the problem is that when you're in kind of a research mode, there's going to be failure. You want to fail quick and then move on. And when you fail, there's cost, and you want to fence in that cost. And large boats equal large cost. Number 4, day-to-day behavioral changes and learning curve. Now, this is an interesting one. The best way I can describe this is with an analogy. If there was back in a day when people washed their clothes using a rub board, and later on they moved from that to a better technology, which was a gasoline washer. And if you was to say to that person, we ought to convert that washer to electric so we can move it indoors, they would likely say, No, why would I want to do that? The dryer will always be outside, referring to the sun. Well, they just don't have visibility of the fact that, once you make that first change, other things follow because of the change. And without seeing how it all plays out, it builds reluctance. Number 3, recharge limits. And that kind of goes with boat size. And what I mean by that is that recharge limit's going to have to do with not just the boat size, but the type of boat and that sort of thing. Like for instance, my boat, I can't put a lot of solar cells on it because it's a monohull. But if I was a catamaran, I could put a lot of solar cells. But there's a trade-off. I wouldn't be able to put as many batteries in it. So, there's reach in how much you can recharge and how much current is available at docks and that kind of sort of thing makes reluctance because there's not answers to all of that. Number 2 is cost. I mean, it's expensive right now because of it being R&D, not because of really the components. It's just where you make mistakes and you have to pay for that. And number 1, by far, is that there's less expertise available to help guide you, but there's a lot of experts out there. And what I mean by that is that, man, you go online and you'll get blasted with people because of the hatred towards EVs. And then you got the other side of it where there's wide-eyed people out there, or snake oil salesmen trying to sell you technology that just really doesn't work. So how do you know which is the real thing? So you got to be able to filter through all of that. So anyway, that's my top reasons to not go electric. I may have missed something. If I did, put that in the comments.
Well, that's it. I finished up on the front of the boat and finished that grinding, and I'll itch for the rest of the day because of that. And also my epoxy's back here cured, so I can go back to work here on the rudder assembly. That was my top 10 list that I just described of reasons to convert to electric. It wasn't all inclusive. There are some things you probably expected me to add to it, like environmentally responsible or something like that. I only included the things that I have control over and that I can directly support. There are literally dozens of things too. I just want to stick to the top 10 as well. And on the flip side as well, the reasons not to. There are more than 5 reasons not to do it, but that's the ones that come to mind. So don't forget to put some things in the comments. If you think of reasons why this is not a good idea, let me know. Maybe I can answer some questions, or maybe you can bring some light to something that I haven't been thinking of. And also like and subscribe. That helps me out, helps out the channel. And we'll see you next time on Project Planetree. Bye-bye, turtle.